Good day, my name is Bogdan and today I want to talk about Wolfgang Iser and reception theory. Reception theory was a reaction to what appeared to be a stalemate in literary studies. Of paramount concern for this theory was the impact of piece of literature has on its readers and the responses it elicits. Instead of asking what the text means, I asked what it does to its potential readers, Iser says. The message that was no longer to be a certain triggered interest in what has since been called text processing, what happens to the text in reading. This is the decisive shift in literary theory. It is a shift from meaning to the aesthetic processes constituting it. Consequently, aesthetic response as the hallmark of reception theory is to be conceived in terms of interaction between text and reader. We can call it aesthetic response because it stimulates the reader's imagination, which in turn gives the life to the intended effects. What interests Iser is the question of how and under what conditions a text has meaning for the reader. In contrast to traditional interpretation, the widely practiced digging for meaning approach, which has sought to elucidate a hidden meaning in the text, he sees meaning as the result of an interaction between text and reader, as an effect to be experienced, not an object to be defined. In Gardner's conception of the literary work, of art thus provides his usual framework for his investigations. For if the aesthetic object is constituted only through an act of cognition on the part of the reader, then the focus is switched from the text as object to the act of reading as process. The literary work is combination of text and the subjectivity of the reader. Accordingly, Iser maps out three domains for exploration. The first involves the text and its potential to allow and manipulate the production of meaning. Like in Godin, Iser regards the text as a skeleton of schematized aspects that must be actualized or concretized by the reader. Second, he investigates the processing of the text in reading. Of central importance here are the mental images formed when attempting to construct a consistent and cohesive aesthetic objectivity. Finally, he turns to the communicatory structure of literature to examine the conditions that give rise to and govern the text-reader interaction. In considering these three areas, Iser hopes to clarify not only how meaning is produced, but also what effects literature has on its readers. The implied reader critics have put forward various models of the reader, and these models contain special qualities of the reader and illustrate special theories about reader and reading. There is an addresser in the text whose voice is heard in the reading process. Therefore, an addressee exists participating in the dialogue with the addresser. The fictitious addressee is a theoretical construct, and he listens to the fictitious author and agrees with the latter. In the early 1950s, the theory of mock reader is the first effort that shifts critical attention from the text to the reader and establishes a heuristic model of the reader for a reading theory. V.C. Booth further elaborated the difference between the real author and the fictional speaker in the rhetoric of fiction. He argues that the real author creates an implied author in the text who is an implied version of himself, and whose presence is felt through the values and beliefs shown in the work, and the reader must construct his image if he is to respond to the various commitments of the implied author. Booth argues that the real author, in the process of creating his alter ego or second self, also creates a counterpart of the real reader. The most successful reading is one in which the created selves, author and reader, can find complete agreement. The whole reading experience thus becomes an evolving process of anticipation, frustration, retrospection, reconstruction, and satisfaction. Iser makes a distinction between the implied reader and the actual reader. The implied reader is formed within the text, and he is expected to respond in many specific ways to the response-inviting structures of the text. The actual reader, however, with his own personal experiences accumulated little by little, his responses actually are continuously and inevitably changed and reconstructed. Consequently, literary texts always take on a range of possible meanings according to Iser's analysis. Iser presents the text as a potential which is concretized by the reader according to their different extra-literary standards, views, values, or personal experiences. A sort of oscillation is set up between the power of the text to control the way it is read and a reader's concretization of in terms of his or her own experience, an experience which will itself be modified in the act of reading. Meaning exists in the continuous adjustments and reconstruction to expectation. These revisions are caused in the reader's mind in the reading process while they are trying to make sense of his dialectical relationship to the text. The emphasis in Iser's analysis is fundamentally phenomenological, because what is at the center of the literary process is the reader's reading experience. By resolving the contradictions between the various viewpoints which emerge from the text, or by filling the gaps between viewpoints in various ways, the readers take their text into their consciousness and make it their own experience. Iser's works can serve both as a catalyst for a throughout-going analysis of the present state of theory, as well as springboard for an overall uncovered view of the model of the mind that still governs most research paradigms in the humanities today. Interdeterminacy of meaning provides the background to consequences both of theoretical and of practical reasoning and of judgment. Thank you very much for your attention. See you in the next video.